An old man hid $1 million worth of gold and jewels somewhere in the mountains. He did not tell a single person where he put it. Instead, he wrote a poem that was just 24 lines. He told the world that if you could figure out what that poem meant, you could find the treasure. 300,000 people were now looking for the treasure. They quit their jobs, they left their families, they spent every dollar they had on the search. They searched mountains, rivers, and forests for 10 years. They were all chasing 24 lines written by an old man, and everyone was determined to walk away with $1 million worth of gold. Unfortunately, 5 of them never came home. This is the true story of Forrest Fenn, and it is one of the most unbelievable true stories that you'll ever hear. If you're a fan of shocking but true stories, this is it. This is your channel. Subscribe so that you never ever miss a story. To understand how all this happened, you first need to understand who Forrest Fenn was. Forrest Fenn was born in 1930 in the state of Texas in America. From a very young age, Forrest loved adventure. He loved the outdoors. He loved history. He loved the idea of finding something that nobody else had ever found. When he grew up, he became a fighter pilot and flew over 200 missions in the Vietnam War. After the war, he moved to Santa Fe in New Mexico and became an art dealer. He spent years collecting rare and ancient things from all over the world. Old gold coins, ancient carvings, jewels, artifacts from civilizations that no longer exist. By the time Forrest Fenn was in his 50s, he had built a life that most people only dream of. He had money, he had a beautiful home, he had a collection of treasures that could fill a museum. He had everything. And then, in 1988, a doctor sat him down and told him something that changed everything. The doctor told Forrest Fenn that he had kidney cancer. He was 58 years old. The cancer was serious, that chances of him surviving were not good. Forrest Fenn sat with the news and thought about his life and what all this meant. He thought about the beautiful things that he had collected over the years, and Forrest Fenn came up with a plan. A strange, beautiful plan that no one around him would never fully understand. He decided that he was going to take the most precious treasures, put them inside a chest. A chest is a large box that is used for storage. He would carry the chest into the Rocky Mountains, find the most beautiful spot that he had ever seen, lie down beside the chest, and die there. This was the perfect plan. He wanted his remains and the treasure to be discovered together someday by some lucky person wandering through the wilderness. He thought it was a perfect ending to a life well lived. This is exactly what he did. He filled the chest with gold coins, gold nuggets, ancient jet figures carved by the hands that had been dead for centuries, rubies, diamonds, and a small book that he wrote about his own life. Everything inside that chest together was worth over $1 million. He packed it carefully. He closed the lid, and then he went looking for the perfect place to die. But Forrest Fenn did not die. Against everything that the doctors had told him, Forrest Fenn fought cancer. His body held on. He recovered, and he was alive. And now, Forrest Fenn was cancer-free. Though all that happened, he had a chest full of treasure sitting in his house for years. The chest sat there while he thought about what to do with it. He could sell everything inside it. He could give it to a museum. He could leave it to his family, but no, none of those things felt right. None of them felt like Forrest Fenn. And then one day, in 2010, when Forrest Fenn was 79 years old, he made a decision. He got into his car, drove onto the Rocky Mountains. He found the spot that he had chosen years ago, and he hid the chest somewhere in the wilderness, in a spot that only he had ever visited, in a place that he said was beautiful, peaceful and perfect. He did not tell his wife. He did not tell his children. He did not tell a single living soul where he had put it. He went home, sat on his desk, and wrote a book called The Thrill of Chess. Inside that book was a 24-line poem. He told the world that every clue needed to find his treasure chest was hidden inside those 24 lines. He said the chest was somewhere in the Rocky Mountains, north of Santa Fe, 5,000 feet above altitude, in a place that an 8-year-old man could go. He sat back in his chair and smiled because the greatest adventure of his life had just begun. What happened next was something that even Forrest Fenn probably did not fully expect. It started slowly, just a few people talking about it, and then more people heard. Somehow, the newspapers picked it up and it was soon on television. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of people across America and around the world knew about a treasure chest hidden somewhere in the Rocky Mountains with over $1 million inside it, and they all wanted it. People read the poem over and over and over, looking for the hidden meaning inside every single word. They printed maps. They studied rivers, forests, and old Native American trails. They drove for hours, sometimes days, to search in the remote areas of Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and Montana. They came back with nothing and went home, studied the poem, and went back out. They did this again and again and again. Forrest Fenn became a legend. People wrote to him thousands of letters. They called him, they sent him photos of places they had searched. Websites and online communities grew up around solving this poem. Families planned vacations around the search area. Retired people spent their savings on it, and young people dropped out of school to chase it. It became an obsession for hundreds of thousands of people. Most of them, it was a beautiful obsession, a reason to get outside, a reason to feel alive. But for some people, the obsession went somewhere darker, and for 5 of them, it went somewhere that they never came back from. The first person to die was a man named Randy. Randy was a grandfather from Colorado who had fallen completely in love with the treasure hunt. He had searched many times without finding anything, but he never stopped believing. In June of 2016, Randy decided to search along the Rio Grande River northwest of Santa Fe. He put a small raft on the water. He brought his dog Leo with him. He floated out onto the river alone, and nobody ever saw him alive again. 10 days passed with no word from Randy. His family reported a missing person. Search teams were out looking. A rescue helicopter spotted Randy's raft floating on the empty river. Leo, his dog, was found alive on the bank, but Randy was not there. 6 months after Randy had floated down that river looking for treasure, his body was finally found. He had been dead from the very beginning. His family was broken, and the whole world asked Forrest Fenn if he felt responsible. Fenn said he did not. He said that people take risks every day and that Randy had made his own choice. In June of 2017, a man named Jeff Murphy drove all the way to Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. Jeff had been studying the poem for a very long time, and he was certain. He was absolutely certain that he knew where the treasure was. He was searching along a steep cliff in the park when he slipped. He fell off the edge of the cliff and he was found dead at the bottom. Jeff Murphy was 53 years old. He left behind a wife and children who had no idea that he had gone to Wyoming alone to search for treasure. They did not find out where he had gone until after he was already dead. Less than 1 week later, a pastor named Paris Wallace from Colorado went to search along the Rio Grande River. Paris Wallace tried crossing the river to the other side, but the water was moving too fast. He was swept away and he drowned. 2 people had died in less than 1 week. The chief of police in New Mexico called Forrest Fenn personally and asked him to end the treasure hunt, to stop it completely. Fenn listened and he said no. He said that he was deeply sorry for the families that had lost their loved ones, but the hunt itself was not a problem. He told searchers to be more careful and reminded them that he had hidden the chest in a place where an 80-year-old man could go safely. But the death did not stop. A man named Eric Ashebley from Tennessee believed so strongly in finding the treasure that he packed up his life and moved to the state of Colorado just to be closer to the search area. Eric Ashebley was last seen getting onto a raft on the Arkansas River in June of 2017, the same month that Jeff Murphy and Paris Wallace had already died. Eric's body was found in the river weeks later. 3 people died in a single summer. All of them were chasing the same poem. All of them were chasing the same chest, but still, the hunt went on. Then, in March of 2020, just as the whole world was shutting down because of a global pandemic, a man named Mike Sexton decided to go out for one more search near a place called Dinosaur National Monument in Utah. Mike had searched that same area a dozen times before. He brought a friend named Stephen Inlow with him. The 2 men went deep into the wilderness and ran out of food and water. They could not get any phone signal to call for help. They were completely stuck with no way out. Stephen Inlow survived by drinking his own urine to stay alive until rescue teams found them. Mike Sexton was not so lucky. He died in the wilderness from the cold. His body had to be airlifted off the mountain. 5 people were now dead. All of them were chasing 24 lines of poetry written by one old man in New Mexico. And then, just 3 months after Mike Sexton died in those mountains, the whole world stopped because Forrest Fenn posted a message on his website that nobody expected. The message was short and it said, the treasure had been found. A man had sent Fenn a photograph of the chest sitting exactly where Fenn had hidden it 10 years before. The hunt was now over. 300,000 people who had spent years of their lives, thousands of dollars of their money, and pieces of their heart searching for the chest read these words and felt something that is very hard to put into words. Some of them cried. Some felt happy for whoever had found it. Some felt angry. Some felt completely empty because the thing that had given their lives sense of purpose and direction and excitement for very many years was suddenly finished just like that. Fenn said that the person who had found it was from the eastern part of America. He said the poem had led that person directly to the spot. He did not give the name of the winner. He did not say exactly where it had been found. He only said it was somewhere in Wyoming, and then he went quiet. 3 months after announcing the treasure had been found, Forrest Fenn died. He died at his home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He was 90 years old when he passed away. He passed away peacefully, surrounded by people who loved him. He took with him the secret of the exact spot where the chest had been hidden for 10 years. The full truth about how the search had ended, and every secret that he had ever kept. The person who found the treasure was later identified as a young man named Jack Stuef, a medical student from Michigan. Jack had spent years studying this poem, reading every single word that Fenn had ever said. He went through every interview and every hint until he became completely certain about one specific location in Wyoming. He went there, he searched, and he found the chest and he took it home. He stayed quiet for a very long time after that because he said that he did not want attention. He did not want to reveal the location because he was afraid that it would become a tourist destination. The chest he found had everything inside it that Fenn had described. The gold coins, the gold nuggets, the ancient carvings, the emeralds, the rubies and diamonds. Everything was there. Over $1 million worth of treasure sitting in the wilderness, waiting for 10 years for the right person to come along. Jack Stuef was that person. At least, that is the official story. Because not everyone believed it. A quiet but powerful theory began to spread through the treasure hunting community in the weeks and months after the announcement had been made. It refused to go away no matter how much people tried to push it down. Some people who had followed this hunt most closely for years said that they did not believe that Jack Stiff had solved the poem on his own. They believed something else. They believed that Forrest Fenn, an old man of 90 who had been watching his life wind down and who desperately wanted to see the hunt end before he died, had quietly reached out to Jack Stiff and helped him. Some people believe that Fenn had essentially chosen his winner, that the greatest treasure hunt in modern history had not ended the way everyone was told it ended, but had instead been arranged by a dying man who wanted to make sure that he was still alive to see the last chapter of his own story. Nobody has ever proved this theory. Nobody has ever disapproved it either. The only person who knew the complete truth was Forrest Fenn. Forrest Fenn is gone. Millions of people who heard of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt found themselves unable to stop thinking about it long after it ended. Because this story does that to people. It gets inside you and stays there. 5 people died chasing a poem. 300,000 people had given their lives to it. One man hid $1 million in the mountains and took the exact location to his grave. And somewhere out there is a young man named Jack Stiff who knows exactly where that chest was sitting for 10 years. And he has decided that the world does not need to know. What do you think about Forrest Fenn? Was he a genius who gave the world the greatest adventure it had ever seen? Or was he a selfish old man who played a dangerous game with people's lives and called it a gift? And the question that this story will never fully answer: did Jack Stiff really solve that poem alone? Or did Forrest Fenn pick up the phone one quiet evening, dial a number, and decide exactly how his greatest story was going to end? Leave your answer in the comments below because we read every single one.